conundrum that was. I don't know. Okay, we're live, so that is cool. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
My co-host is still gone, everybody. I still don't have an intro. That might never, ever happen. I will be playing sponsored ads in between two guests tonight. First is Mark. So I am going to pull your information up on the stream. We have over here. Let me get my life together. And I'm basically just going to hand this over to you, Mark. You have fun. You talk about whatever you want, process, thoughts, philosophies, frustrations, and grievances. And then I will just come in wherever I have a question of personal interest to me. Before we started the show, when we were both backstage, I had asked you how long you've been involved in comic books. If you want to start there or wherever.
Yeah, sure.
Feel free.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. All right. So I've been pretty much a lifelong fan. It's funny to me, just like I used to go to the grocery store with my great grandmother, and instead of, tagging along with her through each of the aisles, I went up to the spinner rack and the covers drew me in. And I was hooked. Like I just, started with one and then started being, hey, can I get two? And then, pushing my luck and, hey, Grandma, can I get three? And definitely, just became a fan that way. And as I got older, really became more interested in being able to tell my own stories, with these characters, creating my own characters.
Older about what age do you think?
So I think probably later elementary school, right before junior high. And then I always liked writing anyways, just in general. But with comics, I really liked seeing those ideas brought to life. Like I liked seeing the characters, drawn and people's different takes on these things.
What age of comics were you introduced to growing up?
So for me, it would have been probably mid 80s. So big Fantastic Four, Avengers, and it's funny because a big Avengers fan, and Roger Stern is from my hometown he lives in my hometown of Ithaca, New York. And every year he's at the free show they do there. Big, it was amazing to meet him, afterwards and talk to him about stuff. And
kind of like a childhood idol.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
He's such a super cool guy. Like he's very laid back and,
wow.
He's like, oh, thank you very much. And, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, so I think that was the start of it. But before that I was still I would write stuff. I won some awards in high school and college and stuff for writing. But the comic book stuff has always drawn me back in. It's always been harder because it's, working with somebody else and trying to convey your ideas over to them. I've tried different script writing, the Marvel way, DC way. Sometimes I'm very thorough in my scripts and I'll be very specific to this is the scene, this is how I see the scene. And I don't know necessarily, if no one's ever complained, but I don't know necessarily if the artist really likes that much, of being told this is what we're looking for.
Who knows? I think it's all personal preference on everybody's end, to be honest with you. Yeah. I've heard there's no exact formula for the script writing. That's what I keep getting over and over again.
Yeah, I would agree with that just because, sometimes I can just do a loose script and they run with it and they add stuff, which is really cool. I've worked with artists that are they need that input. They need to know exactly what you're looking for because then they're a little hesitant to do their own thing. They're like, well, I didn't want to mess that up and I wanted to make sure that it was what you were looking for. But I really, I love different artists' takes. Like our Kickstarter now, we have this one bad guy and we got covers by a bunch of different industry pros. And it's been really cool to see their take on stuff, on that character.
No kidding. Who? Throw some names out for us.
Sure. So Simon Bisley did a cover for us. And he has that very Lobo-esque looking thing for all of his characters. So, of course, our character looks like Lobo. And when I posted it, people were like, oh, is this... and I think if you go in, I think his stuff is on there. Because the original art was actually picked up. It was one of the tiers. And
if I scroll down?
On it. Yeah. I think if you go into it, and then the imaging, there you go. And they keep going down, and then that's the Bisley cover.
Nice.
So, that's Simon Bisley's take on our character. And then if you go down, awesome. That's Victor Santos's take on our character.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and then Andy Kuhn the next one's Andy Kuhn. So this one I think is my favorite. That one.
Right here?
Yeah, so that's Andy Kuhn's take on our character. So it's just very cool to just, you just tell somebody the basics of, this is what this character is, or this is what they do.
And they see totally different things.
Yeah,
and you're surprised, confused, and amazed all at once.
Yeah. And then some people, it was funny because we were looking into custom pops or what else could we do. And when I sent the images, someone was like, well, does the guy wear the vest like in the Bisley picture, or does he not wear the vest? Because the other ones, he's not wearing a vest. And I was like, well, that was Bisley's take on it. I'm not going to knock the guy for doing that, because, you kind
of get what you got when you.
Yeah. And it was just amazing that he did it. The fact that he did this for us was the best.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story here without giving too much
away? Sure. So our story is, it's a 4-issue. I labeled it as like a sci-fi horror space tragedy. So the story follows, it starts like in the near future, and essentially everybody on Earth, the government like that, has just gotten tired of crime. So they build this space station prison, and they essentially say, the worst of the worst will be sent here every year. We're going to send up, X amount of people that are worst of the worst. So the low crime people just kind of, fall off. And they're like, well, I wouldn't want to go to this space prison for, robbing the grocery store or whatever. So you're really down to like the worst of the worst capital crime people. And so every year there's a lottery, and 2 cops are chosen to go up and man the station for the next year. And so our story follows one cop who's a small town cop, family guy, who never wanted to, go. He's always feared this day would come. And then we find that the other cop is going up with a vendetta. So this guy, our bad guy, the crowbar killer, actually killed somebody from his family. And so he's been waiting and hoping that he would get chosen to go and do this. And so as they as they prepare to go up there, that guy kind of becomes the alpha, and he's like really pushing to be in control when he gets up there. And so he kind of bullies our small town cop as they prepare to go up there. And then as they go, they get up to the prison, and they kind of learn things from the people that are leaving. So tons of new characters in this story, and lots of different personalities. But it's
4 installments.
4 issues. Yep. And everything is in the Kickstarter. So everything is done with the Kickstarter. You get all 4 issues. Oh. Yeah. And so it's just,
why do 4 issues and not combine them into one book then?
So, we initially, when we did this, when we started it was a couple years ago, and we kickstarted just issue 1, thinking, we'll do 1, it'll fund 2, that'll fund 3, that'll fund 4. And then what I found was that it was hard to get, because a lot of these guys are industry pros that did the covers. So they agreed to do the covers, and then they had stuff come up where, they couldn't get it done. So I just kind of stepped back and said, let's just finish this thing. And so
you had these same artists do a cover for each of the issues?
Yeah. So Bisley does a cover for, I think, issue 1. Andy's, I think, is issue 2. Jimmy Palmiotti did an issue. Victor Santos is on there, did an issue. Thomas Tenney, who was big in Marvel in the 90s, like Force Works, he did a cover. So there's another take on this character. But I wanted, I always love that stuff. Like I love seeing different, people's takes on these characters and stuff. So we did it as that. And then once this is done, we'll make it available as a trade paperback so you can get everything. Yeah. Just with so many covers, I just wanted that to be, to be out there and to be available. And so the good thing, the fun thing is I love doing like these tiers on here where the stretch goals and stuff like that. So, hey, once we get to here. So the trading card thing was something that we could do because I know all these guys. So when we reached our goal, we set an attainable goal, $1,200 We did trading cards of the art. And so these are signed by the artist. So Andy signed a bunch, Simon signed a bunch, Jim Hanna did a cover, he signed a bunch.
Like they physically signed it, it's not some type
Correct.
of...
Yeah, it's not a copy, it's not anything. Nope, these are original signatures. And we did the cards as like kind of like you would with like trading cards. So there's tiers. So there's a chase card. So the Bisley, the sketch card that's on there, that's like a chase card. The Andy Kuhn card, like that one, is a chase card because it just says Kuhn and it's got his art. And then he has another card in there. It's kind of like a common card that says Andy Kuhn and it's different color coded, stuff like that. So you don't know what you're going to get. And then, we'll just randomly put these in at shows and stuff like that. We'll have these as well. So if anybody was like,
you unlock those at a certain goal and then you're going to include everyone in every fulfillment.
Yep. So these unlock when we hit our goal at 1,200. So
that's
everybody that pledges now will get a card or 2 cards or whatever.
And the issues, all 4 issues. Nice. Super cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been done. I've never heard anybody do that exactly that way before. Unlock a special thing at this amount. That's cool. A cool incentive.
Yeah. I'm hoping, and then we're literally like one backer away from hitting 1,500. So if one person picks up, the 4 issues, we'll get to 1,500 and we'll unlock like the next thing. So we have we did trading cards, pins, stickers, prints, like we did mini prints just because I hate mailing like the 11 by 17 prints because they always get bent or folded. Something happens.
Rolling is the best way to go, but again, people will smash them. Yeah.
So I don't want people to get that and be disappointed and have to keep trying to send this stuff out. So prints are towards the end, but we've got like pins, trading cards, stickers, just kind of random stuff like that. That's fun and hopefully people will like it and enjoy it.
I love stickers; those are legit.
Yeah.
How long, if you don't mind me asking you? Sure. Sorry, I like to talk.
Yeah, no.
I've done a little bit of There's no way to ship them. Seriously, it's such a pain in the butt. How long are each of your scripts on average per issue? Would you say?
So my goal when I write it is 22 pages. Okay. And then sometimes I'll go over, sometimes, we'll cut it. I'll try to cut it a little bit shorter depending. I try to put in splash pages. I try to make it easier for the artists when I can, like for the panels, like some stuff, if you're just talking, it's like, okay, then you can just do like a mini panel of this head, this person talking, switch to the mini panel of the other head talking. But some of the stuff is like, really detailed. So like in this book, when we get to the prison, Brian Rogers is the artist for the book. And, I had specific ideas of, they get up there and they find that there's this, they show them, basically they get up there and the two cops that have been there for a year, take them on a tour and they show them, hey, this is like where you eat. This is, where all the inmates are. And then they take them to this room. And it's just like, what you would think it would be of 2 guys stuck in space for a year. This room has like blow up dolls. It has, video games. It has, just all this kind of stuff like that that you would think, hey, if you're up there for a year, you're probably going to need something, to do. And so it's, like that. And then we really, focused on the prison and the prison section of it is like, just like this huge enclosed, like, multiple floors of prisons. And the way it works is, this place is at capacity. So when new prisoners come up, they have to rotate out other prisoners. And that all plays into this plan that the cop with the vendetta has been plotting this, and he kind of knows like how that kind of stuff works, and he learns more about like how they rotate things out, and essentially they send up.
He's like the opposite of Prison Break. He's like trying to get into the prison.
Yeah. So he's been Yeah, there's one person up there that he's been, dying to get up there to see. And it's kind of, they send, when these new cops go up, they send them, with a gun, they get a handgun and they get enough bullets for the same number of inmates that are going up. So they kind of just, they have to rotate out the people that have been up there like the longest and then make room for the new ones. And you meet the inmates and stuff like that. So if you go down to, so we put a couple pages in there. And
to
so
establish all of that and everything.
Yeah. And we show, we introduce you to the inmates. So it's kind of, I like that stuff, where it's hey, here's this guy and this is why he's here. And this is what his role is now in the prison. This is what he does. Or
do you have a video you want me to play?
You can click on, I think it's the other.
On your website, maybe?
No, it's on the Kickstarter. Yeah, you'd have to click on that one or the other one.
Okay. Is this?
I think this is the main. It should.
You want to do it? You want to roll it real quick, man?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's check this out.
So that's our space prison.
Word.
And then this just kind of gives you some insight into our crowbar killer, our bad guy.
I like crowbar killer.
Yeah, I mean, we trying to come up with something that would make people, not like this guy. And so, yeah.
Got some teasers here. I like the art. It's very noir.
Yeah, so this is Brian. This stuff is all Brian. And then there's our prison. And then this is just kind of issue 2. We kind of go back and introduce, as they're going to space, we kind of learn about the guy that they're going up there to see. So there's one of our inmates.
I like how he has a baby doll.
Yeah. Yeah, and you learn why, and you learn more about him, and why he has this doll, and his role up there in the prison as well. And it's funny. We tried something with the book where issue 1 is in color, issue 2, 3, and 4 are black and white because it changes. You're kind of seeing it from our small town cop's perspective, yeah, and so things change for him. Once he's up there, it's
I
kind
personally
of
like the black and white, honestly.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of it. And it's kind of got Walking Dead vibes to it, which is not a bad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. So it's I mean, I like it. We've gotten good reviews. From what I've sent the issues out, for people to look at, stuff like that. It's people have come back with really liking it. They liked it, the multiple characters and introducing those characters and kind of showing, what those characters are all about.
I saw up here that it said that you've had other campaigns. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or no? Okay.
And then,
is this not your first? Is this not your first comic that you've done, or is it?
It's not. No. Yeah. Okay. No. So the first published comic I had was a couple years ago. Antarctic Press picked up Planet Comics because it was in public domain. And so Brian, the artist on this book, and I did a short story in the first issue of that. So Planet Comics #1, we had a space story in there. And those comics are really they're female character driven. So the main leads are always female characters in that. And so we did that. And I have a story to tell with this person to continue going on. But we kind of paused after that. Brian went on and did Trailer Park Boys for Devil's Due. And so, and I did some other writing and acting stuff. So,
so you guys have a history of working together.
Yeah. So
nice.
we did that Planet first. And then this one was one that I've always wanted to do. And I pitched it to him and he liked it. And then it's interesting because then this year, one of the Kickstarters we did was for a book called Adrift, and Antarctic Press picked that up. So that'll be running in Jungle Comics starting in March. No, in April, sorry.
Okay. Next month. Okay.
So next month. Yep. So Jungle Comics number 16, I think, is the first issue. And then we run for like 6 issues. And then
so you got a little dream team over here.
Yeah, and that one though is a different artist. So that one's Jacob Jurgen, and he's a Mexican artist. And he teaches art down there. So he's really good, super good guy. He worked for Wildstorm and he did some stuff for DC. And then we had another book that we were going to kickstart called The Accursed, and then that got picked up by a new publisher, Blood Moon Publishing, and so that's going to drop in August. So August 2nd.
How new were they?
That'll drop. I think like within the last couple of years.
Oh wow, good for them.
Yeah, they're in previews.
I'm happy to hear there's all these publishers popping up now.
Yeah, for sure.
Can we see some of your past works on your website here? Where there'll be links?
Yes, if you go to Comic Book Projects, I believe, it should be in there.
Okay.
Yep, so there we go. So there's Space Cooler, and then if you go down, so there's The Accursed, and then there's Adrift.
Oh, nice. Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Harry Potter and Kill Bill. That is a very interesting trifecta. I like it.
Yeah, so The Accursed, the one above that, The Accursed, these are both Victor Santos covers, but The Accursed, I wanted to do, because my sister's like a huge Buffy fan, but I wanted to do something kind of like that supernatural, magical kind of thing, which, just for the fun of it. And I came up with the idea of this girl, this family has been the balance, kind of like Buffy, but it's always the female in the family. So it's always the firstborn girl. And so in this one, like the character kind of behind them, the Hedge Witch, ends up like figuring out, kind of like Marvel now with the timeline, stuff like that, figures out a way to take out their mother, who is the protector at the time. So they take her out, and then she like doesn't get all the powers like the mom had. So she's stuck as like, she's cursed, and she's stuck as like a teenage kid, and she's trying to fight like these monsters and all this stuff as a teenage kid. And she has an older brother who has just gotten older. So now they kind of play the role of like, he's the father and she's the daughter.
How many issues of these? I know you said there's 6.
Yeah, so The Accursed is, the first storyline is going to go 6. Okay. And then Adrift it's broken down into 6 issues of Antarctic Press, but it's a 4-issue arc, the way it's written. But they had to break it down even more to fit it in, because we share it with a other story in that book. And
these are on average how many pages?
So The Accursed will be about 22. Adrift is written about 20 to 22, but you'll probably get 10 to 12 each issue in Jungle Comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, what's up?
Good evening, Amy. Thank you for having me on. Mark, nice to meet you.
Hey, you too.
So, Mark, in your time in your hometown, did you ever run into Roger Stern?
I did. It's funny because my hometown, Ithacon, is like the second longest running convention, and it's generally free. They found ways to, get venues, stuff like that. And they had this pipeline, because we're literally like 4 hours from New York City. They would catch artists coming through. So like Frank Miller did the show way back when. The Simonsons have done the show way back when. Roger lives generally near Ithaca, so he's there almost every year. And it's funny because growing up in Ithaca, then I learned that like all these people that went on to write comics kind of got their break from Roger. Like they would write under Roger, or they would do like fill-in stuff for Roger. And I was like, man, how did I miss out on that?
Oh, wow.
Amy, if you haven't read his run on The Adventures, he did a great run on The Adventures with John Buscema doing the artwork, and then his Spider-Man run was great.
Hobgoblin.
So if you haven't read those Roger Stern runs, I highly recommend them.
I haven't. Okay, I'm a novice and a newbie here in the comic world, so I admit it. I hate to admit it, but I admit it. I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah,
I know.
Start with the Avengers. It's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
the Avengers.
Yeah, his run on the Avengers is really good.
Take notes. I do on most of the shows. Yeah, so I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to navigate this and learn the history, the lore, and respect it because I'm in it now. So I'll take any advice I can get.
And Mark, just listening, you're doing a great job of networking. You're doing a good job of getting paid to network because you've got all these projects running at different companies, and regardless of how they do, you're meeting all these new people and you're getting paid that.
Yeah, for sure.
Meet all these new people. So kudos to you. You got a good strategy going.
Word, yes, yeah.
I will pitch these books to anybody that will listen.
Hey. That's what you got to do. You got to go pound the pavement.
So, Amy, thank you for inviting me. And this is special because last week you had Mike Baron on.
Yeah.
And Mike Baron is basically a hero of mine. So, everybody who's watching, if you watched last week's episode, if you haven't, and then go pick up this Nexus book that came out about 2 weeks ago by Mike Baron, go check this out. Highly recommend it.
Do it. You know what? I'll stand Mike Baron all day long. I own his the first biker installment. I'm almost done with that. I will be reading more. I need to pick up Nexus. Thank you for reminding me. I have been very excited for that release, and then it comes out, and I totally forgot to go get it. Oh God!
And there's going to be another one this fall with art by Kelsey Shannon, and then there's another one in early 2024. So there's more Nexus coming, which is always a good thing.
Hell yeah! So, Mark, with your last couple minutes here, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No. Thanks for having me on. I always love talking comics with people, and
come on again.
It's always fun. Yeah,
when you have
sure.
More releases coming out, more campaigns. Come on again. I'd love to talk with you about that and share it.
Yeah, I'd love to. And if you're watching, go to the Kickstarter and get us to the $1,500. All we need is one person to get us to the $1,500.
Get one more backer. I will go on and back this.
And then you'll get free stuff. We'll add on free stuff, once we get there. It's just...
But back it. Okay. And then check out the website, look at past projects, follow him for new projects, because obviously there's going to be more.
Mark, the pitch was really good. I was into it, and then when you said one of the guys has an ulterior motive for going there, I was like, oh, okay, all right, this you're taking it up a notch. So good job on the pitch.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've shown it to a few people. Everybody that did a cover for me, saw the scripts and stuff like that and liked it. Yeah. Jimmy backed it. Justin Gray backed it. And so it's just, I hope that people enjoy it. That's the whole thing out of it for me is, I don't care how much money we make on this thing or whatever. It's just, I want there to be a good story out there that people actually like and are like, oh, cool. Maybe I'll check out something else by this guy that he's writing. And
that's Mike Baron's first rule of entertainment is to entertain people.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with that. And I obviously agree with that.
That's true.
Awesome. I like everything I'm hearing. I'm going to back your project. I want to hear more. I want to see more. Good job. Kudos to you.
Yeah,
Sounds like everything's rocking and rolling. Keep it pushing, man. Keep telling stories.
Will do.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
You can jump off. You can stay on. It's totally up to you. I'm going to.
Yeah, I'll stick around backstage if you want to. Yeah.
You can be a backstage. You could be front stage.
Mark, you can stay on and hang out. No problem.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Add color commentary.
Yeah, and if you just gotta pop off, go for it. Nobody's gonna be upset. It's pretty loose. It's pretty easy here. I'm gonna go ahead and play a couple of our sponsored ads in between, and then Jason, you're gonna be able to run this and do whatever you need to do.
Sounds good.
Basically. All right, let's do the dang thing here, Jason.
All right.
I got all your stuff pulled up over here on the screen. So go for it and tell me what to pull up and go ahead and direct whatever
Sure.
you need
I'm
to.
just going to mention that everybody who's watching, I strongly recommend you go to the Indiegogo site and sign up for Jupiter. It's pre-launch on Indiegogo. Amy's got the screen up there right there. So the key thing is the first 100 backers, when the campaign goes live, are going to win a free non-prize. Not to be confused with a no prize. This is a non-prize. It's much better than a no prize. So the first 100 backers are going to get this, and I'm going to tease the back. Oh, wait.
Oh God.
Well, you really got to sign up and get the non-prize, in order to see what's on the back there. So I'm here to talk about Jupiter, which is a 40-page full color comic book that's on Indiegogo. The launch date is March 30th. The book is 95% done. This is a hard copy proof I printed a couple months back.
Oh, sweet.
So right now I'm just doing final art tweaks, making art adjustments and so forth. So at the end of the campaign, within a couple days, I'll be sending the file to the printer. So if you back Jupiter, it'll be a quick fulfillment, and you'll probably get your books before 4th of July, basically. So the other thing is that Jupiter is it's I call it the other kind of OMAC. It's a one-man anthology comic. So just like the Jupiter I did in the 90s, it'll have a large main story, and it'll have some short stories in the back of it. The main story is about it's a study of fight versus flight. The main character and her family, they're unhappy. They're dealing with a family tragedy, and as they try to get away and reboot their lives at a cabin, an interdimensional event careens with their normal life. And the follow-up from that allows this young lady who feels trapped to be able to go anywhere, but she has to decide whether she's going to just get away from her unhappy life, or if she's going to stay and kind of protect her family and so forth. So it's a good hero's journey. It takes place in a world without superheroes. The superheroes are in comic books, but then she uses that to frame her response to these extra dimensional attacks and all the things that ensue from the events in the book.
Okay, wow. That is, and I'm sorry, how long did you say it was?
It's 40 pages.
That's a lot in 40 pages.
Yeah. So there's a 24-page main story, and then there's 16 pages of short stories and so forth.
Okay, because you get to play with time.
Yep, exactly.
So you have a lot of utilities there at your disposal. That's very... I like when people do original things like that with narrative. Why not? Especially visually, because you can take it there. Exactly. So we've got your Indiegogo pulled up. What else can you tell us? Direct us to? Do you have, whatever you want to talk about? I'll leave it open to you. Yeah.
There's if you flip to that other. So first off, go sign up, because you'll be the first 100 backers to get the non-prize. I'm also just giving me an add-on for a postcard portfolio, and the portfolio is a collection of 7 paintings that I did that are based upon the artwork of Jack Kirby. So just that'll be a good little add-on for people. It'll be like $7. So that's another reason to check out the campaign after it goes live.
So did you do all of this yourself?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah. So I did everything, the writing, the artwork, and all the typos are mine as well.
Okay. So do you have experience doing sequential art and all of this?
Yeah, I did a black and white indie comic in the 1990s. It was Jupiter. Went 9 issues, and then just kind of like it stalled out where I had to reassess and decide, do I want to continue with this? And it was critically acclaimed, but I had no marketing budget, so I was kind of like spinning my wheels there. But I went 9 issues, and then after that, I focused on family and career and things like that, and getting a house and so forth. And then with the advent of crowdfunding and the excitement around what's happening, I decided, you know what, I still want to do this. So that's about 2.5 years ago, I started putting this together. Spent a lot of time doing the world building and designing the characters and so forth. So this first issue, 40 pages, it's almost done. And then I'm 10 pages into the next story, the next issue. And then I have the next, I have got a total of 20 issues thumbnailed and scripted, at least to like the first draft. So
already Storyboarded, scripted.
Exactly, and thumbnailed. It's loose
Wow.
loose enough so I can make some adjustments.
Mhm.
So no final drawing, but the point is that I know where the story goes. It's got a good ending. I won't
Wow.
do a J.J. Abrams on anybody, and
Yeah.
I mean here into this for the long haul. So it should be a fun ride. I encourage people to get on now because it's going to be going for several years.
That is a very labor intensive labor of love that you've got going there. That
Definitely.
is wow. How long does it take you to do just one page? And I'm
Uh,
talking inking, lettering, all of that.
about a week per
Okay.
page.
Yeah,
Yep.
that sounds about right.
Yep.
Wow.
But I think a lot of the hard stuff I did in this first issue, because I've got the characters, I've got the color palettes, I've got all the props figured out. So the subsequent pages, subsequent issues will go faster.
Faster and faster and faster, right? Which is one nice thing as we learn, we tend to improve our. But I love the color palette.
Thank
That
you.
was one thing I noticed right away. So this is not your first time, and that's really awesome that you get to take something from the past and rehash it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Get it in, and with the printing prices, I mean, compared to the 90s, the color printing prices are actually low. I mean, paper's more expensive now, but the print industry has changed a lot in 20 years, so it's
Mm.
more affordable to do full color than it was back then. Another fun thing about doing this project was I finally had an excuse to learn animation. So I used Adobe Animate, and if you go to that other link with the blue background on my website, that's the press kit. We can look at some of these videos. So
Totally.
the second one down, it's only about 10 seconds long, but it's a lot of fun, very trippy. If you want to play that, it's one with the house there.
Yep,
Just
let's
play that
play it.
one and let me know what you think. It was good. It was fun to make. So
Yeah,
that was
that
fun.
is cool. I like that the loop that you have
Right.
there that make a good GIF or GIF or whatever too.
Right.
So you did this in Adobe Animate, huh? I have Adobe Animate. I haven't really done much with it yet. I'm intimidated.
My advice is block out like a 3-day weekend and make sure nobody bothers you, and then just sit down with it and watch the tutorials. And that first day you'll have this huge ice cream headache, and then by the second day it'll start to click, and then by the third day you'll be animating.
So sit down in like 10 years from now when my kids aren't going to need me anymore.
Exactly.
Do you want to play this video up here?
That one's kind of that one's a long one. I don't want to bore everybody, so maybe go down.
Okay.
And let's look for the one that's this one's pretty cool. This one's kind of metal. Why don't you play that one?
Metal, nice, love it. Oh, I love the colors. Nice. Wild.
I wanted that one to like feel like a 1970s Conan, but
it does
look different, right?
Yes, it totally does.
Because I think a lot of times with fantasy, or things go too dark, so I wanted to be kind of psychedelic and so forth.
I do like that. I like the type of pastels and the line work that you have going on there. I am totally picking up what you're putting down and going for.
Cool.
Wow, you got a lot of cool stuff up here.
So this one, if you go up just a little bit further, that one right there. So this one's inspired by an actual one-page strip in the comic, and this one is it's inspired by the 1920s surrealists and like the intro to the Twilight Zone. So so go ahead and play this one. This one is another one where it was like what was fun was I had an excuse to do animation like this, which I couldn't justify before, but I hope you enjoy it. Take a look.
Sounds great. Yep. 100%.
Just fun to do. And so my writing style is, what I'll do is I'll take I'll go for a walk and I'll think about a story, and then I'll take a bunch of 3x5 index cards and I'll write out like little panels, little snippets, and then I'll like rearrange them, and I'll add a card, take out a card until I've got like what I call like a story. And then I'll take a step back and I'll think about how can I arrange those index cards as a page, being mindful of like the page turn and pacing and so forth.
Right.
And then I'll put it into Word to make sure I don't have any typos or try to avoid the typos. And then I'll grid it out in Adobe Illustrator to get my panels. And then from there, I'm going into like Adobe Fresco to do the line art and so forth. And
you use Adobe Fresco?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you like it? I have it. I've never used it.
So this another thing where I advise you, give yourself 2 or 3 days to use it, and you'll be it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty intuitive. And
Fresco's the painting app, right?
Yeah. Well, there was an Adobe drawing app, and they merged it, and so it basically was Adobe Draw got merged into Adobe Fresco. So
that's old. That was like a long time ago, like 7-8 years ago, I think, because Fresco's been around for quite a while already.
Yeah.
And that's the one that they kind of advertise it as like it's very painterly, right?
Yep. You can decide how much you can decide what kind of brush you're going to use in Fresco. So you can do a line art, and I think because of the manga craze, they've designed pens that are nice and thin, and so for a while there, they would just give you a pencil, or they give you a brush, or they give you like a quill or a calligraphy pen. But then with all I think the demand pull from the animation and the anime and manga crowd was give us a nice variety of thin lines.
Yeah.
So you can mix up the brushes and mix up the effects and things like that.
Have you used Procreate?
I have never used Procreate. Are you familiar with
Oh my God. Yeah. It's your best friend for on the go. Holy Moses. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I was going to ask you to compare the two.
Okay.
I tried Fresco because I love Adobe. I have Adobe everything, blah, blah, blah. But when I lied. I did use it, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago. And it had the problem you're talking about. The brushes were not intuitive. And I have a background in traditional medium, and I don't mind being a messy artist, but they were really not intuitive, and it was just kind of like blobbing. And I was, on digital art, I need something like way, way more intuitive and constructive here. Yeah. So I will check that out. That's when I found Procreate, got into that. It's effing amazing. It's like mini baby Photoshop, 100%. It's fucking awesome. But anyways, so let me ask you, and maybe I'll ask both of you this: what programs do you guys use to write your scripts, or do you use any script writing program, or what?
I'll use Microsoft Word to check my typos and things like that, and also to kind of look at how many syllables and how many words I've got in a balloon, and then from there I'll paste it into Adobe Illustrator on top of the panel grids.
Okay.
Mark, what do you use?
Pretty much the same. Like I'll use Microsoft Word. I write screenplays, and I've written for video games, stuff like that. So I use Final Draft.
Okay.
For like with Space Cooler, I'm writing the screenplay, so that part of it's Final Draft. But the script itself is just through Microsoft Word. It's just easy, to be able to format all the pages and stuff like that.
Are you guys on iMac or Mac at all? Mac platform?
I'm a Mac.
Yeah.
I'm a Mac person. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let me just. Oops, not that. Maybe I don't have it. Do I not have it? Yes, I do. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out here to you guys real quick. And if you have not used this program, it's called Beat. Totally check it out. It's really sweet. Where'd it go? I'm trying to open it up. Yeah, it's a really nice screenplay writing app. It will like automatically do the formats for you. You said you use Final Draft. It's really similar to Final Draft or Celtics or whatever, but it's a free app on Mac, so I would check it out. It's just called Beat. You can see that right there in the corner. I love it. It transports, or you can convert it right out into a PDF or a Word document or whatever. So anyways, Jason, sorry about that. You have about, you got like 12 minutes because I do have ads. So go ahead and talk about anything you want. Talk about the industry, the comic book industry, your philosophy on writing, storytelling, anything.
Sure. So I think right now is a very exciting time because the rise of crowdfunding it's created a situation where crowdfunding is more direct than the direct market. And so obviously it's been the case for about 25 years that the retailers, the retailers were ordering initially on behalf of the customers. Sometimes customers would do a pull list, but by and large, the retailers were ordering the comics. And that put them in a situation where they were hesitant to experiment. They could, because as they were buying unknown titles or titles that were doing things that were a little more oddball, more surrealist, more psychedelic, etc. They're moving the wrong way on the risk curve because they had to hold on to the inventory. So what's unique about crowdfunding is that you can the actual customers can decide to dip their toe into something. Right. And just as we as consumers, we'll take a risk on a movie, we'll take a risk on an album or whatever. We don't have the overhead of a retail location. So there's the if we buy a book we don't like, or we go see a movie we don't like, it's a low cost. But for the retailers, they had, brick and mortar retailers, they had all this overhead. So you could see that over time, the direct market and the big two comic book companies, it was kind of circling the drain, going down and going down and going down to the point that we're in right now. Yeah. So it's very exciting to be a part of crowdfunding. Yeah. Because even if you have even if your project, even if it funds at say $4,000, that's plenty to cover the printing costs and so forth. Right. And so it's I think it's going to serve as a good incubator. One of the problems was that the third to fourth tier comic book publishers, they were basically just IP incubators for Hollywood or Netflix and so forth. Right. So they themselves were also like self-correcting towards just kind of rehashing the same thing. So it's an exciting time to be involved in crowdfunding and comic books. I'm excited about what we see. The other thing is that I'll still go to my LCS on Wednesdays, and typically I'll buy one new comic and some back issues. But what's nice about crowdfunding is that I always have something coming on its way to me. And so as I'm backing books by say Graham Nolan or EVS or so forth, just a couple times a year, just like an author, you don't expect an author to write more than 1 or 2 books a year. Right. You don't expect a monthly book. So true. There's always true. So there's always something. I know there's always something slow boating its way to me, which is exciting.
That's a good point, actually, because I hear a lot of people talking about like I don't want to say fulfillment issues. That brings up a different idea. But just like the overwhelming process of like constantly creating content and putting it out and content and putting it out. Mm-hmm. And I know people who try to do like a campaign every month or every other month, and I'm like, who the fuck can do that? You know what I mean? Even if you're not doing what you are doing, Jason, which is everything, it's still so much. There's so many moving pieces. There's communicating. The art is extremely time consuming. Yeah. So but I think, people are programmed because that's how it always has been, an issue a month. But these were the big two, or, they had a lot of funding. They had 50 artists, letterers, or editors, whatever. And I like the philosophy, like normalize 2 books a year, or like normalize a book a quarter or something like that. And people should get used to that, because I think if you're not constantly putting content in front of people, the idea or the fear is that they'll forget about you, forget who you are, forget your projects. So normalize less projects a year. Yep. Quality over quantity.
And I think the creators that are most of the creators in the crowdfunding space that I think are successful, they're making books for the bookshelf. They're not making books to try to. So
get
Marvel and
optioned
DC
or
were
something?
smashing into each other, trying to gobble up market share, trying to flood the market. They define winning as getting market share,
Yeah.
whereas now I think winning is you successfully fund your book, you make a profit, and at the end of the day, you have something that's worthy of the bookshelf.
Right. So a nice book to put on there. I have a couple, like Electra Lives. You want to have something that's memorable, something people want to pick up once, twice, 3 times, once a year, or whatever. I think that would be a huge accomplishment, actually. Yeah. So that's a lofty, to me, that's like a lofty ideal, a lofty goal, especially from an art point of view.
I would rather have like Jeff Darrow. I'd rather have a Jeff Darrow book every 2 years that's incredibly beautiful and it looks amazing than to see him trying to meet like a monthly schedule, right?
Yeah. That's it becomes more soulless too, also.
Yeah.
So am I wrong then? And am I wrong or am I right then? You're kind of, I meet people from a lot of different perspectives. So there's people who like the production and they like to boom, 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 boom. And okay, it's a personality thing or what have you. And then I have people who I've met that are really against the idea of producing comics, graphic novels, whatever, with the idea of getting optioned. People who are really opposed to the idea of writing them as if you were writing a show or a movie. And you should write it more like a classic comic book style. You kind of sound like you're passionate about the visual narrative and the quality of your visual narrative. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a comic book artist and a comic book aficionado. I'm not somebody who's trying to sneak a script into Hollywood by making a comic book. If somebody does that, that's great. That's good for them. But that's not the reason why I'm doing it.
You sound like you have a lot of respect and adoration and admiration for the craft and the medium.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Okay, that's nice.
I view the comic book just like jazz being a uniquely American invention, and when I look at like so there's a certain charm to the Silver Age, the Silver Age Marvel and the Bronze Age Marvel. There's a certain charm to the fact that there were that breakneck speed. I think it was a crucible where a lot of really incredible talents like Gene Colan, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, the Buscema brothers, and Stan Lee. They worked these marvelous things on a monthly schedule, but then not everybody is made to do that. And when Marvel was doing 8 titles a month, it was amazing. And then when they went to 16 titles a month in the early 70s, it began to get watered down. And so there's a certain charm to those monthly comics in that golden age.
Yeah.
But by and large, like you mentioned, Electra Lives. I'd rather have one Electra Lives than 12 comics that Frank Miller had to stay up all night making and kind of had to get him where he was operating under a deadline, right?
Yeah, right. Of course. I like that though. It's a really refreshing opinion, and I'm not here to say who's right or wrong about it. I just like hearing that. I'm somebody who's very passionate about visual art. It's pretty much my entire existence. It's the one thing I think I'm good at. And hearing other people be really passionate about the art and the medium and being true to it, honoring the inspiration, honoring the roots, honoring the history, the nostalgia of it, its influence on your life, that it's like, so it's kind of like your book is your way of building a monument to all of those things. And that is fucking awesome because that's where your heart's at. That's where your soul's at. Yeah. It's not just production for production's sake. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Super cool. Awesome. Do you guys have anything else to say? And then I'm going to play some sponsored ads in a minute. Back the books. That's what I have to say. Back the books. Go sign up on Indiegogo to find out when Jupiter's releasing. Go back Mark's book. We got that. Where'd we go?
Yes, we got
somewhere over here.
2 weeks left.
Back the books. Follow them on social media. Go to their websites. Any closing words?
Yep. Go sign up for Jupiter. So the first 100 backers will win a non-prize.
Mark?
Read more comics.
Read more comics. I have to do that also. Send me some recommendations for graphic novels if you can. I'm more of a graphic novel girl. I like long format. Okay. yeah, thanks for coming out, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
You guys
Thank you
can
so
jump
much.
off and go enjoy the rest of your night or
Yeah.
hang out backstage, do what you got to do. I'm going to play some ads. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I
Thanks.
look forward to talking to you both again in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Sweet. Peace out. All right. So that was pretty sweet. I'm happy about that. Let's play some ads, you guys. And here's, boom, the first one. Check out First
World, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
First World, we have issue 2 coming out soon, and I am the writer. Definitely go to firstworldcomic.com. Check it out.
Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
All right, everybody, I am out of here. Have a good night. Peace out. See you next week.